And you're looking at live pictures from Air 7 of a pursuit that has gone through downtown LA and now heading south and east on the 5 freeway. Let's get more from Chris in Air 7. Chris?
Yeah, that suspect on the run from LAPD who has just handed this pursuit over to the California Highway Patrol. Mark, he is in the heart of the East LA interchange here, southbound on the 5 freeway. As you mentioned, this pursuit started in South LA. There were actually 2 suspects, 2 vehicles being pursued at the same time. At one point, suspects from one vehicle dumped the other vehicle, and they all piled into this Kia Soul, where there are believed to be 4 suspects inside of that car, unknown if armed. You can see LAPD with their airship right overhead, the night sun squarely aimed at that small SUV. And now, as I mentioned just moments ago, LAPD has handed this off to the California Highway Patrol, already putting a little more pressure on these guys. As you see that primary unit, no more than 4 car lengths right behind that suspect, who at times has been surpassing triple-digit speeds, hovering between 90 and 100 miles per hour where possible. Even in some of the more congested areas, he was going up the 101 freeway at one point, made his way into Hollywood, got off at Hollywood Boulevard, and then turned around, got on the southbound side of the 101, where he eventually transferred over to the 5 freeway. And again, we have a hot pursuit on our hands here. Not sure what other crimes have been committed here, Mark, but again, it is unclear whether these suspects are armed.
So you're saying at one point there were 2 vehicles being pursued, and then they dumped one, and everybody piled into this one?
That's exactly right. Not sure how it all started, whether it was some kind of a drag racing case. That's what it sounded like, but certainly a little odd considering the vehicle here. Look at this, getting off the freeway now on surface streets. A possible pit attempt, or at least an opportunity there, as he was going just slow enough, but now he's in a residential neighborhood, and that CHP unit closing in a little bit. We'll see if they have given the go-ahead for that pit maneuver. Now turning on to Olympic Boulevard. We'll widen out just slightly and see if there's any other traffic in the area here. Looks like pretty quiet night on Olympic, now making the right turn off of Olympic at 8th Street. So a squirrely suspect who at times has been somewhat successful in trying to lose the police, but they have been able to catch up with him even during a little bit of an episode downtown LA, trying to hide in the buildings there, getting off the freeway for a short time, eventually getting back on the freeway, and then they were able to pick it up once again. So a squirrely, high-speed chase here, but that suspect refusing to pull over, Mark.
All right, and this is a Kia Soul, I guess, and I'm just trying to find out more information about how far it can go. The electric one can go 243 miles or so on a full charge, and we don't know how much it's got left. We're trying to find out more information about this particular model, but we can tell it can go pretty fast. It's got 4 people in it, and it's still gone over 100 miles an hour, so that's saying something. On the freeway, it was doing that. Thankfully, on the surface streets, it has slowed down quite a bit, but still running through intersections. A little slower now, but we're already seeing some pretty aggressive driving here, definitely going above the speed limit, and already I think I've counted at least 1 red light that he's flown through. So continuing to drive pretty aggressive. Definitely a dangerous suspect behind the wheel here. Again, we don't know what the original crime was, but the driving has been reckless throughout, and now you see him making a turn off of 8th onto Soto Street, and that will put him back in the direction of downtown LA. He has gotten close to other vehicles during the course of this pursuit, although we have not seen any collisions, and now getting back on the freeway. This is going to be the transition to the 60 freeway. It looks like the eastbound side of the 60. That's going to be, yeah, eastbound 60 as he now gets onto the freeway, back onto the freeway. This has been on and off the freeway for the better part of the last half hour. There have been numerous pursuits this evening. This is the second one in South LA in just the last hour or so. And again, LAPD eventually took this onto the freeway. That's where California Highway Patrol has now taken it over, and they have already shown to be a little more aggressive with this suspect, not pulling back at all. Again, there are believed to be 4 suspects inside of that Kia Soul. Now he's getting off again, it looks like. Is he getting off at Whittier Boulevard here?
Yep, Whittier Boulevard, getting off the freeway here.
appears to be a random exit. He has not shown any kind of a pattern whatsoever. It really is more of a joyride than anything else. Look at this primary unit right up the left rear, and there comes well, a pit attempt, if you will. He was just inches away from that back bumper, and I don't think he made contact there, and now you see him blowing through a red light here. CHP slowing down, but we know that the go-ahead has been given for that pit maneuver, and I suspect now that we've seen that original attempt, we will likely see another one in short order here, especially with the very little traffic that you're seeing here, even on Whittier Boulevard this time of the night, proving to be a quiet Monday night here on the streets, or excuse me, yeah, it is Monday, right?
Yeah, it's Monday.
Yeah, he's continuing, continuing down Whittier Boulevard just fast enough to avoid that pit maneuver.
Yeah, and they're not going to try it on a street like this. It's, you know, it's got businesses and cars and people and all that on either side of it. It's narrow. The opportunity for the likelihood of collateral damage is high if they were to try to do it here on Whittier Boulevard, but the perfect place, yeah, he just ran through that red light there, as you saw, Whittier and Townsend. So you are quite right, Chris, in pointing out that his driving is erratic, it is dangerous, and he is blowing through red lights along this in this process, and there are apparently 4 people inside this Kia Soul now going almost 70 miles an hour.
Almost double the speed limit, pushing about 70 miles per hour on Whittier Boulevard. Speed limit can't be more than 45 at the most right here. And now slowing down for the green here. Now a wild right turn into oncoming lanes briefly there as he makes his way southbound on Downey Road off of Whittier Boulevard. Those units making the turn but pulling back. I have to wonder if they have put this in tracking mode once again. It would continue the pattern of engaging with the suspect and then pulling back at various points over the course of this pursuit. And once again, he has decided to get back on the freeway form right there. Not sure if he or just happened to be, I think that might have been a coincidence. The freeway, that CHP unit was like, wait a minute, and now he's going to get involved here. Surely he was hearing the radio traffic, and now the pursuit looks to be back on. You see those cherries and blueberries flashing blue and red here as we make our way now northbound on the 5 freeway, Mark.
All right, CHP, again, the lead agency directly behind him. He's gotten off the freeway at various times, and the CHP has remained in the lead. They're staying with him now. And when you talk horsepower and all that, there's no contest here. That CHP Cruiser is going to be able to keep up with this Kia Soul pretty easily, as well as you've got the helicopter, of course, up above that is tracking the vehicle with 4 people inside. Again, we're trying to get more information about why this all began in the first place, what the original want, if you will, was, whether it's stolen, whether these people were involved in some sort of criminal activity before this. We're trying to determine that right now. Our assignment desk is making those phone calls, and when we have that information, we'll get it to you. But for now, now it looks like he's on the I-5 North. Is that correct?
Yep, I-5 North, making his way now through the East LA, back into the East LA interchange. He's really been on a number of freeways. He's already been on the 110 freeway, the 101 freeway, the 60 freeway, the 5 freeway. He's covered a lot of real estate in a short amount of time. Now in the spaghetti loop at the East LA interchange underneath the 5, maybe getting on the 10 here. As he gets off of the 60 freeway, it'll gradually turn into the 10 freeway, if I'm not mistaken, where he is right here. And that'll put him on the westbound side, if I'm not mistaken here, in a little bit, maybe another half mile or so.
All right, yeah, a lot of levels here. And a lot of different routes that are being kind of covered here, but there you see him, and good work by your camera operator there in the helicopter, keeping track of this Kia Soul with 4 suspects inside. Again, this began initially with 2 vehicles, and the people from the other vehicle bailed out of that one and got into this one. Tactically, one of the dumbest things you can do when you're being chased by police, if you've got 2 vehicles and then getting into one, just makes it easier for your pursuers to keep track of everybody involved in whatever they were doing. So they've made that mistake already. The second mistake, of course, is running from police to begin with. And now they're just going to continue on the on this is the 10 West, right? Is that correct?
Westbound 10, yeah, westbound 10 here. We'll make our way through the Fashion District, eventually past downtown LA, hopefully, unless they get off the freeway, either onto the 110 freeway or try to hide downtown. Again, that's a tactic they have already tried and failed at, and we'll see if he takes this back into downtown or bypasses downtown altogether. Could take the West 10 all the way into West LA. We'll see what he does here. Still doing about 100 miles per hour with so much empty freeway to play with here, trying to put a little bit of distance between him and those primary units. Right now, there are only 1 or 2 units behind him. You saw earlier on when he got off the freeway, there were a couple that fell back, but these are new units. I believe these are new black and whites who are now participating in this pursuit. 2 fresh eyes on this suspect as they continue to pursue this suspect. Code 3, lights and sirens on with the help of that LAPD airship overhead. That is where that night sun is coming from, shining a light on the suspect, helping out those officers, and also giving all of those other drivers on the freeway a heads up that there is police activity on the move, on the way. And you can see now it looks like he's getting off of the 10 freeway. This may put him onto Venice Boulevard potentially. Or he might get onto the 110. We'll see here.
Right. Well, this is we're really getting a tour of downtown and some of the more well-known interchanges in Southern California. He went through the 4 level at one point. Now he's going through this one, and you see here again he's going around the traffic, the slower traffic. We don't know whether a pit maneuver will be tried here. Probably the speeds are too high at this point. Kind of a dangerous area to do it. But if he gets off the freeway, at the bottom of the off-ramp is a good place.
Southbound 110. Southbound 110 freeway, getting on the Harbor Freeway now. A wild move there, Mark. You're right. Kind of swerving around traffic to get off that ramp and onto the transition, and certainly was no match for those pursuing officers. They have easily been able to keep up with him as he has now transitioned onto the southbound side of the 110 freeway, where traffic once again is relatively light. We've already seen him push triple-digit speeds, and sure enough, already holding on to about 90 to 95 miles per hour as he merges onto the Harbor Freeway.
All right, this is in the University Park area. This is right near USC. There he is down there on the bottom. Again, great work by our camera operator to make sure that we don't lose track of the vehicle. You can bet that the CHP is certainly not going to lose track of him. What is that, a tablet or something they've got in the back of this thing? What it looks, I'm just kind of curious about what activity.
At one point it was completely obscuring the right side of that passenger seat in the rear there, and it does appear to be moving. So I don't know if it was intentionally trying to cover it up, or if there's if it's some kind of a shade, or perhaps something else that they are messing around with, maybe trying to conceal the window. In any event, I did catch that. There are now additional units joining this pursuit. We can now count up to 3 California Highway Patrol units joining this pursuit, and they are ready to perform a traffic break if they have the opportunity. The suspect getting all the way over to the right, That's an exit ramp that'll put him above the freeway here onto Vernon Avenue. Getting around traffic here, coming up on Vernon Avenue, getting off of the 110 freeway, and now making a right turn onto Flower, or off of Flower onto Vernon. So off of Flower onto Vernon, and now we can say that this pursuit is back in the general vicinity of where it began. In fact, we're very close to where it started, somewhere in the area of Central and Martin Luther King.
Oh my God, look at the speed.
As you know, Mark, we're pretty close. So he is now back in more familiar territory, making a lot more sense because we've seen him cover so much ground going away from where it started. You just kind of got the impression that he had no real clear destination in mind. But now certainly it appears he is back on more familiar turf as he makes his way into Southwest LA, now on Vermont Avenue at 45th Street, blowing through red lights, trying to put some distance between him and those CHP units. We'll pull back here in just a second, see if we still have those units in tow here, and they have pulled back dramatically as well. In fact, they have slowed down. They are off the freeway now and pulling back, letting the helicopter do the work as he traverses the streets of South LA, and now it looks like at least 1 suspect has bailed, 2 suspects that we can see behind this building, and a third one.
at least 3 suspects. We know that there were potentially 4 altogether inside that car. I can count at least 3 silhouettes in that alleyway.
And there they go. You see one with the red hoodie, very distinctive. Another one with a black and white striped hoodie, and they're all keeping together, which will, again, make it easier to be apprehended by the police. We can assume LAPD is being vectored in to this area as we speak. This is 49th Street and Kansas Avenue, but you can see it's a pretty densely packed area of houses and apartment buildings and duplexes and triplexes, and so they're all kind of running through an alley here. Very hard to see from the air at night where they are running. As you can see, they've got the night sun there. And
yeah, fortunately, LAPD's airship does have the infrared, so they can get a better idea of where they're hiding out. Once they run out of steam, they'll start looking for a hiding spot. But this does appear, at least it appears to be, an area that they're a little bit more familiar with. And so you saw him running through those alleyways, just looking for any possible
there they go.
hiding spot. There they are, all 3 together still. Again, there were reports of 4 suspects, all 3 sticking together under that tree. You are right. They are trying to triangulate more officers into this area, but you get the impression now that that California Highway Patrol unit, those pursuing units, pulled back a little bit too soon. Now they're jumping fences into this community, trying to find private property to hide out in. And it's a more dangerous situation inherently, obviously, once you start seeing this kind of behavior, because there are people at home sleeping in these homes and obviously could be in for a rude awakening if you've got trespassers trying to break into your home looking for a hiding spot. In this case, it looks like he's trying to get on the roof
Trying to
help his buddy on the roof.
Varying athletic abilities of these suspects.
Yeah,
one clearly is a little more athletic than the rest. He's on the roof. He's already made it across. The other maybe a little too short, doesn't have the hops to make it over. So he's kind of stuck in that alleyway. But one guy, as you saw, just went over the top. Now, yeah, this is a case where, you know, if you're in this neighborhood, this again, let's get. He's still trying. If you're in this neighborhood, and if we can get the area again.
Kansas Avenue and 49th Street. Kansas Avenue, 49th,
okay, you got
LAPD
cops
now
right
pulling
there.
into the alley with their guns drawn. LAPD with their guns drawn. They've got the red hoodie at gunpoint. Red hoodie at gunpoint. Remember, we still have another suspect on the other side of that wall on private property. The red hoodie is out of luck, and we know that there was at least a 3rd person who went running as well. Again, we had heard there were a total of 4. We have only seen 3, and now we have 1 person in the yard, a person in a red hoodie at gunpoint, and those are the initial LAPD units to arrive on scene here. But that house near the top of your screen is the private property in question, where we believe there is another person hiding out on that property, or at least there was just a few seconds ago.
All right, Kansas Avenue and West 50th Street in South LA. If you live in this area, please stay in your home. Keep your doors and windows locked. There are suspects who are hopping fences, hopping onto private property, trying to get away from police. And what we have now is apparently a locked gate between police and the suspect complying with them, walking backwards toward them. Now they just need to get to him. This is the kid, the guy in the red hoodie. He looked like a kid, actually. He didn't look like he was that big. So they're going to have to, you know, he's complying with their demands. He is going to submit to arrest, it would appear. The other suspect that we have seen that hopped the fence, hopped onto the roof of what appears to be a garage or an ADU, and then got to the ground on the other side of into that backyard. That one is still at large. Excuse me. He was wearing a a dark-colored hoodie with white stripes. And is this near a school? Looks like it's near a school. I see a track there.
It does look like a yard. Yeah, it looks like some tennis courts and a track and field there near the top of your screen.
Or a
Don't
park.
know the name of that school off the top of my head, but you can see 50th Street there near the top of your screen at Kansas Avenue now being flooded with LAPD units in this area. There's going to be an intense foot search for that suspect as they try and lock down this area. It's unclear whether they've had enough units available to really form a solid perimeter just yet. But right now, the task at hand is trying to get that suspect on the other side of that fence in custody. Now, they probably have a bolt cutter that they could use to unlock that fence. Otherwise, they'll have to resort to more athletic measures. But in the meantime, that home near the top of your screen is the last known location that we saw that buddy of his climb over the wall, eventually under the roof of that back house, or that ADU, as you mentioned, and then tried to hide out there. There's a van in that backyard. There's all kinds of hiding spots. Unclear whether he has passed through there or if he is still hiding out somewhere. That is information that we don't have, but likely that LAPD airship was probably able to narrow down, or at least get a better idea of his location.
All right, and so that pursuit then has wrapped up. One of three, perhaps one of four suspects in custody. They've got him handcuffed through the fence, actually. He stuck his hands through the fence, and they've got his hands in cuffs through that. This is not the only pursuit that we have covered tonight. There is more that we have to get to here.